Hey guys! So today we're going to be learning about the nervous system, specifically action potentials. Alright, so the route of information through the nervous system is basically like a domino effect, where one domino causes another to fall and the process repeats itself. This is the same as how neurons transfer information to other neurons, to muscles, and even glands. Basically, it's a chain reaction. Wow. All right, to understand action potentials, one must understand the structure of a neuron first. So let's get into it. First, information enters through the dendrites, through the cell body, down the axon, and the branches of the terminal is where it goes. The information is going to a connecting neuron. So what is an action potential? The ultimate goal is to cause a rapid temporary change in a membrane potential to transfer information via electrical current. So that's what we're trying to do, just trying to get that electrical current. Okay, so the first stage is the resting state or the resting potential. The resting state has a voltage of negative 70 millivolts. This is maintained by the sodium-potassium pumps and the leaky potassium channels. The sodium-potassium pumps keep the concentration of K plus much higher inside the cell than outside, and vice versa for a sodium plus. The membrane of the neuron has K plus leaky channels that allow K plus to leave the cell, but that doesn't affect the overall concentration because there's checks and balances that maintain that equilibrium that for potassium. There are negatively charged proteins that attribute to the negative 70 millivolts voltage for the resting state, and that's denoted by the P minus. A stimulus like touch, sight, sound will cause the membrane of the cell to depolarize and reach the threshold to reach the next stage, the depolarization stage. The stimulus could be as small as someone touching your hand lightly or as impactful as someone stabbing it. If the stimulus does not reach the threshold, it becomes a failed initiation. The next stage is depolarization. After the cell is stimulated and it passes the threshold, it goes into depolarization, which causes the Na plus and K plus channels to both open. The Na plus channels open very quickly while the K plus channels do not open until the next stage, repolarization. This is why only the Na plus passes through and enters the cell. The positive charge of the Na plus causes the voltage to change from negative 55 millivolts to plus 40 millivolts, reaching the action potential. Okay, the next stage is the repolarization and hyperpolarization stages. Once a cell reaches the action potential, the Na plus channels finally close and there's a reflux of K plus out of the cell, causing the voltage to rapidly drop. Sometimes a cell's voltage may drop below the resting state's normal voltage, causing a stage called hyperpolarization. Hyperpolarization sometimes happens because the K plus channels are slow to close, just like they are slow to open. And that's why it could be either less than negative 70, and that's in the case of hyperpolarization, or equal to negative 70 millivolts if there is no hyperpolarization. And that could happen sometimes. So after those stages, we're back to the resting state and, we're back to normal. So it will stay in this state for a little bit while it's in its refractory state. The refractory state is a period of time where the Na plus channels are closed, regardless of whatever stimuli tries to stimulate it. Like you can get stabbed, you can get gunshot to the head. For that millisecond, nothing's going to happen. There will be no action potential. This will prevent an action potential from happening to keep the action potentials from going backwards. So there are some key facts that we need to understand about action potentials. Action potentials are all or nothing. So that means that they have the same magnitude and the same duration for any particular neuron. Also, action potentials propagate in one direction, meaning that they all go forward. Action potentials do not go backwards. Yeah. Right, so now you're enlightened, like Albert Einstein's. And here's my references. Bow.